We all see the paychecks because definitely there's no comparison. Remote jobs will pay you more. We say FANG, but then FANG may be a bit years ho chuke, right? Facebook, Google, Netflix, and Microsoft is also good. Amazon, I don't really consider. That first paycheck, it covered my entire tuition of 4 years. तो मैंने 4 साल engineering में जितना भी खर्च किया था, I got it back in my first paycheck and then some.
Startups versus MNCs, remote work versus office work. That is what we'll be talking about in this complete video. We'll talk about the pros and cons of remote work. We'll be talking about the experiences of Abhishek Bisht, who is currently a Facebook software engineer in Dublin, and he'll be talking about his experience working at Airbase, which is actually a remote startup, and his experience working at Facebook. Make sure that you watch this video till the very end, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and now let's get into this video. Hi Abhi, thank you so much for joining me here for this video, and how are you doing, bro?
Hey man, I'm doing great. I just got back from my vacation and like feeling good, feeling refreshed. And how about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great as well, just trying to manage Market Up and this YouTube channel. So my first question for you would be like, how is remote work like? And you have actually worked at a remote startup. So tell us about your experience of working over there and how did you get that opportunity in the first place?
तो कुछ लोगों को पता नहीं होता है, like I mean at the time when I joined remote companies, it was not really the norm, right? It became the norm sort of in the whole COVID period 2020 के बाद. But उस समय क्या था? It was very like obscure kind of a thing. Most people didn't know it. Very few remote companies existed. So my goal was not to find a remote company. My goal was just to get into an early stage startup in that zone, right? Because I was working as an intern at LogMeIn. And like I was working remotely with the Boston based team, right? So we were building, it was an innovation internship. So we were building new products under LogMeIn, but like with a remote team based out of Boston. So then I realized this is possible. So I thought, why not just apply to multiple companies like that? And at the time I didn't know about Airbase. Airbase hadn't even launched, right? It was like a stealth startup kind of a thing, which was under development, but they had raised a seed round or something. So I just reached out and like I found AngelList. Oh, credit also needs to be given to PestoTech, because PestoTech is this startup which was sort of increasing awareness about remote jobs, and they had like a arrangement where you study with them, they teach you the skills, and then they don't take any fee for that, but then after you start working, then they'll take a cut from your pay, right? तो जैसे कि तुम्हारे दूसरे वीडियो में उसने कहा था कि मैं क्यों दूँ
और ये जो कुछ कंपनीज और एक नेक्स्ट लेवल स्कैम कर रहे हैं कि हम तुम्हें फ्री में पढ़ाएंगे, तुम अपनी 15% सैलरी दे दो. क्यों दे दूं?
That was the same feeling. So I was like, मैं क्यों इन लोगों को अपने सैलरी 3 साल तक you have to give like a percentage of your salary, right? Like why? Because obviously like हम लोग CS students हैं, तो हमने ये सब पढ़ा है और उसके आगे भी हम लोग खुद भी पढ़ सकते हैं. And today you can study everything. Even PestoTech का curriculum was open source. So मैंने खुद internship में React वगैरह सीख चुका था, और मैंने जहाँ तक देखा पूरे सारे जॉब्स उस समय रिएक्ट के ही थे, और मेरे को बैकएंड भी आता था. लाइक आई वाज अ फुल स्टैक इंजीनियर, सो इट वाज एन एडवांटेज फॉर मी. सो उस समय आई रीच्ड आउट टू एयरबेस, एंड अर्ली स्टेज में क्या होता है, द CEOs डोंट इवन आर नॉट हायरिंग एंड नॉट मेनी पीपल आर अप्लाइंग. सो एनी हेल्प दैट दे कैन गेट दे विल टेक इट. सो उस समय इसलिए मेरा क्या हुआ, मैंने उनको अप्लाई किया, एंड at the time team was less than 10 people, right? So they could get some help from me. They had some tasks, some like easier tasks, for say like it was not the main complex task, right? Some easier task, because I'm like a junior engineer. Airbase abhi bhi junior engineers ko hire nahi karta hai. So like I just applied and they agreed, and they were like, yeah, we can use your help in this sort of zone. And I joined that, and like that was the turning point, right? Then I realized ki remote work and this like salary was higher, because I had offers in Indian companies, good offers from like placements and stuff. They were paying me like I think 8 to 10 lakhs like base salary, but Airbase paid like more than double, right? So then obviously I would obviously choose that, because at that time you're like, maybe I can increase my pay as well as get good experience. My main motive was I want to get into an early stage startup to understand how a startup is built. But then later I found out that remote companies pay more and all that, so it was a win-win. Yeah, that's how I got into remote jobs. And after 2020 it kind of became a norm, right? All companies went remote, and आजकल तो हर company remote hire कर रही है.
Our biggest regrets in life are the choices we did not make. And yes, that includes not getting a chance to work at your dream company just because you're too afraid to move out from your first job. Why do people compromise so soon in their career that is barely even started? How many people have made the sacrifice and went with the first company that hired them? But what if you got that dream job? What if you got paid that 6-figure salary? What if you just had more hope in yourself? What if you just waited a little longer? Well, Relevel gives you that option. All you have to do is to believe in your score. Through Relevel, you don't have to apply for companies. Your score speaks for yourself. And the best part is your dream company comes to you with a potential offer. All of this with incentives, brand value, a higher pay, and a streamlined job profile. And to be honest, who would not like to have that convenience? Now, this was not supposed to be a motivational speech. Check out Relevel with the link in the description and get access to all the opportunities that you would have otherwise missed out on. With that said, now let's get back to the video. Right. Just so that people don't get confused, आपका timeline क्या था? Like what year did you graduate and like what all companies have you worked at till now that you're working at Facebook? How is that timeline like?
So timeline, I finished college in 2019. So I went to college from 2015 to 2019, right before the pandemic. I'm glad. So Jan of 2019 में मेरी internship शुरू हुई थी. जो मेरा final semester था, full-time internship थी in Logmein. Logmein is a company which builds products like GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar वगैरह. So Logmein में मेरी internship चली थी from Jan to June. Jan to May ending, basically June में खत्म हो गई थी. June से मैंने start किया Airbase, which was my remote job. And like I had a buffer because like remote job was a new thing, right? Because you don't know, it's just a company. I'm doing work for them. Will they pay me? At the end of June, basically I got my first paycheck. And basically about that first paycheck, it covered my entire tuition of 4 years. So मैंने 4 साल engineering में जितना भी खर्च किया था, I got it back in my first paycheck and then some. But like July से मेरे दूसरे appointments थे. Bangalore में जो companies, I got placed in Akamai and Logmein. So I had those appointments from July. So in case anything went wrong with the remote job, I could also go back and join Akamai or something, right? So that was mid 2019. That's when I started working. And then from then, during COVID, late 2020 में मेरा Facebook interviews हो रहे थे while during the lockdowns, and then early 2021 I got my Facebook offer and I joined Facebook in May of 2021 because उसमें delay हो गया था COVID second wave और इस सब के कारण. So May of 2021 is when I actually started at Facebook. So about
Got it. Awesome.
Almost 2 years experience, yeah.
Right. What were the differences in the interviews that were happening both for your remote job at your startup and when you were working at Facebook? So उन दोनों में difference क्या था?
So difference was in the remote job, like more emphasis was placed on basically एक founder को क्या चाहिए? The best thing a founder wants is he or she wants people who also want to be founders, right? वो जो entrepreneurial mindset होता है. Because in an early stage startup, you have to do a lot of things. Like I was doing a lot of things. I was doing full stack development, right? I was writing web components in React. I was writing backend in Django, but I was also doing other things like building internal tools, building analytics dashboards. I was writing huge SQL queries, right? That was not part of the job description, but like an entrepreneur like has to do everything basically, right? So like I was getting involved with sales also, because not directly selling, but building tools for sales people and stuff. So क्या होता है वो difference हो जाता है एक startup में, because they are looking for some people who are willing to take initiative and do different things, wear multiple hats. But when it comes to companies like Facebook, they are hiring very specifically for very specific job roles. Like I'm a production engineer. So what happens is they'll test your knowledge like in depth. A startup में मेरे जो remote interviews था, knowledge was tested. They want to know that you know something and they want to know that you're willing to learn more. They will not expect you to be an expert on anything, right? But on the other hand, when you're interviewing with FANG and they are hiring you for a specific role, they expect you to have certain skill levels and they obviously test your data structures and all that. Facebook, especially like Facebook, Google, इन लोगों का बहुत high bar होता है, as you know. Everyone knows, right? इन लोगों के interviews थोड़े से complicated होते हैं. They put a lot of emphasis on data structures, algorithms, and system design. So like it took more prep. Like if you say comparing the difficulty level of the interviews, I would say it is easier to get into a solid high paying startup job versus Facebook, Google. FANG में like FANG में we say FANG, but then FANG में भी अभी tiers हो चुके हैं, right? Facebook, Google, Netflix and Microsoft is also good. Amazon I don't really consider. Amazon में कुछ teams है, कुछ Amazon is not part of FANG.
Why do you say that,
technically, right?
bro? What is the hate that people have against Amazon being like in the FANG or not being in that tier?
No, so I'm talking in terms of engineering, right? FANG originally was a term used for the stocks. Amazon is a great stock.
Right.
I own Amazon stock. But then the thing
crazy
is
returns.
Amazon, yeah. But the thing about Amazon's work is first of all, they have a bad reputation, right? In terms of work culture. I don't know if you guys use Blind, but Blind में तुम जाओगे तो Amazon होने का definition is get pipped.
What is
right?
Blind exactly?
Blind is like an anonymous social network for enterprising, like for example, corporate people, right? You have to sign up with your work address. You cannot sign up with your personal email address, but it is not connected to you anyway. They will not reveal, like Blind के जो staff होते हैं, even they don't know who you are, right? It's completely anonymous, but you can talk about stuff. Like इसलिए क्या होता है इन सब companies के जो engineers है, senior management है, like हर तरह के लोग मिलेंगे Blind में, and the opinions, obviously it's anonymous, so like you have to take it with a grain of salt, but the numbers and the details and the information that you get on Blind, you don't get anywhere else on the internet. Like internally क्या हो रहा है कंपनी में, क्या politics हो रहा है, और क्या कैसा पे बैंड रेज हो रहा है, interviews कैसे हो रहे हैं, offer negotiations and stuff. So you can check out Blind website if you haven't. It's Team Blind, I think. So yeah, I was saying Blind में क्या होता है, Amazon का बहुत एक खराब reputation है because their culture is higher, and then if they have unrealistic expectations, and then they pip you, and like pip is basically performance improvement plan. That is the definition of like तुम्हें fire करने के लिए वो एक process है. First they will put you in pip and then they'll fire you. That is the thing.
Oh my
and
God.
like even if you notice, right, they will hire everyone. Right now Amazon will hire everyone like freshers, but they're having huge difficulties hiring senior people because senior people know this reality and they don't want to go to Amazon. So they have it. So Amazon में कोई जाता है तो अपने career के first 2-3 साल बिता के then they'll move to like Facebook, Google, something, right? They will not stick with Amazon. Very few people will stick to Amazon or like senior hiring. So like and in terms of culture, it's just not the best place, right? And it's just not the best place to work. Yeah, I mean, there are exceptions. There are some good teams who are doing good work and all that, but that's rare. So like Amazon, in terms of engineering, is not I mean, it is a part of FANG, but it's not like put up there with like the rest of them. But on the other hand, there are other companies like Airbnb, Lyft, and all that, Robinhood, and Subka, Coinbase, Stripe. So yeah, there are such like good companies up there.
Awesome. So what is the pros and cons of working remotely? And you have actually worked at a startup that was remote. And so tell us a little bit about that. How does that happen? And like, what is the work-life balance? And what do you feel about it? Is this the right thing to do? Or would you want to go back to offices and you want to work over there?
So, well, I joined Facebook because I wanted to go back to office, and like obviously Facebook has one of the best offices. So, but like point being, remote work is great, right? I started off in a remote job. I have no regrets because it accelerated my career in a way no other job would have, for example, right? But the thing is that there are cons. Like हम लोग जब remote jobs की बात करते हैं, we all see the paychecks because definitely there's no comparison. Remote jobs will pay you more, especially being in India. Remote jobs will pay you much more than any of the normal jobs within India would pay you, right? Be it FANG or be it like the biggest Indian startups, remote jobs have an edge over them because they have a completely different economics. It's just like it's a given fact that remote job on any level will pay you more than your normal job in India, right? So us samay money is definitely a pro in remote jobs. You will get good money and good work. You will work on the best technologies and like you will get to work really like with the best people around the world. Culture अच्छा होगा. Indian companies का थोड़ा सा culture का problem होता है. I don't want to generalize it, but most companies in India, like my friends who are working in India, keep complaining about the culture. But remote work में these companies usually have a really good work culture, so that's a pro. But then there are cons as well, right? We almost always neglect the cons of remote work. Like I have done it like for 2 years, and I know that there are pros definitely, but there are also cons. For example, you don't get to actually meet anyone. Like for example, मेरी company Airbase, we used to do like offsites 2-3 times, 4 times a year, right? Before COVID basically. But after COVID, वो offsites सब रुक गए, so you don't get to meet anyone, right? Which is a big con. The point is that if you're working with someone, like you want to build a good relationship with them, and that is very important. शुरू में लगता है नहीं, I'll just do a video call and done, right? But then it's important to build good relationships because there's more to it than just, working and delivering. After a point, you will burn out. Like I'm not saying I was burnt out, but I was almost getting there, because like you sort of miss that human interaction, right? That's a very important element of
The
being
human connection is not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest con that I think. That is why I think remote work will not entirely replace. अगर उस problem का कोई solution निकाल ले कि like how do you maintain the relationship and the culture, like you know, the making friends and like being good, being like a team, right? वो culture आता नहीं है. Like within remote work you are just doing your work and that's it, right? अपना काम करो, सब लोग अपना अपना काम करते जाएंगे, कंपनी आगे बढ़ेगी, but you're not building those relationships, which is like very 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 important. So that's the biggest con that I think about remote work. Other than that, I think there's like a lot of pros, and depending on what you value, like if you value more compensation and like being able to travel around, like that is the best part about remote work that I mean, I would not miss it, because even Facebook is having like remote policies and all that. It's going to be fine. More and more, like after COVID, all companies will have some kind of remote flexibility. So that's a good thing. But like you can travel around and be wherever you want as long as you deliver your stuff. I think that's a huge advantage. One advice that I would give to people that not many people give is like keep watching out for new spaces, right? Like for example, now crypto is new. And AR VR, so like growing spaces. For example, web development जो आज है, आज से 10 साल पहले वो नहीं था. React didn't exist at the time. React started in like 2015, right? 2012 or something. उसके बाद it sort of expanded, and like people who got in early make the most of it. So like keep looking at new technologies, and like it's interesting also for this React VR that is interesting right now for making VR apps with React. So like technologies like that, new technologies. So I think AR VR is going to be big, and Facebook is a central player. Like a lot of companies, Apple is going to launch their own AR glasses soon, I think. So
awesome, bro.
Yeah, future is bright, hopefully.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me here. It was great learning from you, and I hope to seeing you again.
Cool, thanks man, it was great being here like always, and I love watching your videos, and you're doing a great work.
That was the video. I hope you got to learn something from this. If you're still watching, just write below I watched till the very end. Thank you so much. And also you can check out his YouTube channel, Abhi's YouTube channel, in which he uploads a lot of videos about software development. Do take a look at that if you're interested. Check out Relevel with the link in the description to get a lot of great opportunities. And that's it. You can follow me on Instagram if you are interested, and I'll see you in the next video. I have made 2 other videos about remote startups and FANG and work-life balance and a bunch of other things. So the links for those will also be in the description. That's it from me. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.